Well, ahead of their Carabao Cup matchup with Chelsea, we are delighted to welcome in Newcastle midfielder Sean Longstaff. Hello, Sean. How are you doing today?
I'm all good. How are you?
We're fantastic. Very excited to chat with you. I want to ask about coming off a tough loss at the weekend to Chelsea, who you now play again in Carabao Cup midweek, but you're going to be at home. How do you flip the script against the team that just beat you midweek in a domestic competition like this? What does this look like?
Yeah, we know it's going to be another tough game, but I think the game at the weekend was really close. I think we got, especially in the second half, we actually got into some really good positions and ultimately didn't take advantage of those. So I think for us, it's about watching that game back, seeing what we're doing well, what we didn't, and making a little adjustments. And ultimately, hopefully at home with the crowd behind us, we can come out with a big win tomorrow night.
Now, obviously, you're a local guy. We've seen this before. You're a true and blue, Newcastle guy.
Proper Geordie.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? You got the accent and everything. Talk to me a little bit about how different it is playing at home, the vibe at St. James Park, especially for a cup competition.
Yeah, I think we've placed a massive emphasis on the cups this year because ultimately as a group we think the things we can target and ultimately win a trophy. So especially at home with the crowd behind us, a nighttime game, I think there's nowhere better in the world to play football. And yeah, we have to give the crowd something to get excited about. We have to give them something to get off the seats and cheer for. And we've got the players to do that. So it's about believing in ourselves and taking the game to Chelsea and making it as hard as we can for them.
Well, Alexis said it. This club is near and dear to your heart, being from Newcastle. You guys made it to a final before, but what would it mean to you, being from Newcastle, to win a trophy with Newcastle United?
Yeah, it would mean everything. I think the club hasn't done it in so long. To be the first team to do it, I think would be amazing. I think you could walk around, or you could come back to Newcastle at whatever stage of your life and you'll be remembered forever, and you'll always be recognised walking around the streets, which would be amazing. We know it's going to be tough, and ultimately to win it, you've got to beat some top teams, but you've got to beat the best to sort of win trophies, and that's something we're looking to do.
Obviously, there's going to be a ton of fans. I'm sure you're going to have friends and family at the game as well. In fact, one of your brothers plays pretty close to us over in Toronto FC in MLS. Has he been able to help you out get a Messi shirt? I heard you wanted a Messi shirt.
To be honest, I wanted him to get a Messi shirt. I think he didn't end up getting it in the end, but hopefully next season he can grab it off him. But yeah, it's been great getting to watch all his games. They're on a little bit late over here, but I always stay up and watch them and support them. And obviously missed out on the playoffs this year, but hopefully next year they can put a team together that can make a good run.
Your brother says that he loves playing in Toronto. He loves MLS. You're enjoying watching it. What has he told you about the league and just kind of the style of play and his impressions of it?
Yeah, I think he's loved it because I think the styles that most teams play, they try and play football, the ball's on the floor. I think it's a league that is suited or sort of similar to a lot of the top leagues in the world just because of the styles the team plays, and obviously most teams have some really good players, and then obviously with the salary and stuff, obviously the depth might not be there. But I think the initial 11s of both teams are really good, and the standard of the game is really high. So I think for him, he's really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed watching the games, and I think for him, gets to travel around America, visit some great cities, and play in some great stadiums. So for him, it's been amazing, and like I said, it's been great to watch him. And hopefully next year they can really kick on and hopefully make the playoffs and have a good run.
All right, so in a couple of years, get some agents, some clubs to reach out to you. Apparently you're a fan in a couple of years.
Definitely.
Let me ask you about St. James Park, because especially last year in Champions League, such iconic moments in the stadium, and you were a big part of that. You also mentioned that Champions League means so much to you. You want to get the club back into Champions League. Talk about that sort of struggle to get there and how hard you guys are pulling for it.
Yeah, I think it's hard because there's so many top teams that ultimately want the same goal as well, so it's never going to be easy. But if you looked at where the club was 2 seasons ago, fighting relegation most seasons, to suddenly being in a Champions League race with some of the top teams in the world, I think it shows how far we've came. But ultimately now it's about knowing we're a good team, but also we have to act like a good team. And whether the games are against the top teams or the bottom teams, have the same mentality to win them games, because we know it's going to be a really close sort of battle for the top 4 spaces. The top 2 teams, top 3 teams are really good, so you're probably battling for one space between 4 teams, and we've got a big best every week to achieve what we want to achieve.
Talking about the atmosphere at St. James's Park, and last year, that match against PSG that you guys won at home, you score a goal. My husband is a massive Newcastle United fan, and he had tears in his eyes watching you celebrate. It was such an incredible moment. I just want to know for you, how often do you replay that goal in your mind? Because that had to be something special.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the thing is with football is it's sort of, there's always another game around the corner. The biggest thing I remember from that night is you go to bed and you're sort of lying in bed and you think, oh my God, like what a night. And then you come into training the next day and it's like, that was great, but we'll play West Ham in 2 days. So like the focus is on at that. So you don't really get to take it in for as long as you probably want to. I think it's something that on the anniversaries of the games, you see the goals and you sort of allow yourself to look back and remember how special it was. But ultimately, you don't just want one memory of those things. You want to create loads of them, and but you can only do that by getting in the Champions League and getting into Europe. So it's it's a new season and new goals, and you can't look back, because I think if you do that, you'll sort of not see what's coming ahead of you.
Obviously, when you did score, you got a chance to hang out on the desk. We were pitch side for that. Talk about that. And is it a little different? I think American television is a little different than what you typically find in England, no?
Yeah, I think it is. But it's, in a way, it's great because it's not as sort of serious, and not everything's like so, like not everything's so serious. You can sort of have a laugh and a joke, and ultimately football is a serious game, but also like, it's a game that's about enjoying yourself and having fun, and ultimately that's why you played the game as a kid. So I think, I love doing that interview after the game. So I remember Dan Bain dancing. Those are memories that I'll remember forever. Sort of maybe the bits after rather than the actual game. But I think it's great that it can be serious, and sort of you're going to learn things by watching it, but also you're going to have fun and enjoy watching it ultimately, because that's what it's about, really.
You mentioned fun. You and Dan Byrne dancing with Micah and Jamie. That's almost an American specific thing, no?
I think it was Dan dancing, not me. I'm not the dance to do that, so I'll always be able to watch that video of him dancing, definitely.
How much did you guys make fun of him for that?
To be honest, there's a few who tried to make fun of him, but I think everyone loved it that much that people like see it as a big, like see it as something amazing. So wherever he goes now, everyone asks him to dance. And so I think he's sort of done himself a favour by doing it. Everyone loves him, and it's sort of gone the other way. I thought he'd get hammered for it, but ultimately everyone seems to love him.
To be fair, for a big guy, he got some moves. He had some rhythm. I'll give him that. You got to be
loose in the hips, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Sean, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Best of luck against Chelsea and the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.